All right, let's talk about SBICARD. You know the name, right? You've seen the ads. Maybe you even have one of their cards. They are a giant in India, the second largest credit card company out there. And from the outside, they look like a picture of success. But today, we're going to peel back the layers and look at the actual numbers, because what they're telling us is a completely different and honestly a pretty shocking story.
And, hey, at first glance, everything looks rosy. If you just check out their big headline numbers, you see exactly what they want you to see. Revenue, up a whopping 22% year over year. Awesome. Profit after tax, that's up too, by 7%. These are the kinds of stats that make a company look healthy, growing, and solid as a rock. But this is where our investigation really begins, because these numbers are hiding something big.
Because here's the twist. While the company reported a profit of over 2,400 crore rupees, its actual business operations burned through more than 5,600 crore rupees in cold, hard cash. Just let that sink in for a second. They made a profit on paper, but in reality, cash was just pouring out of the business. We're not talking about a small difference here. This is a massive jaw-dropping contradiction.
And that leads us to the huge mystery we're going to solve today. How on earth can a company be profitable, at least according to its income statement, while at the same time it's hemorrhaging billions in actual cash from its core operations? It sounds impossible, right? Well, we're about to find out how it's happening.
You see, this whole thing boils down to a really critical idea in finance. What a company calls profit is not the same thing as cash in the bank. Not even close. Profit is an accounting term, full of estimates and things that haven't been paid yet. Cash flow, on the other hand, is the real money that's actually coming in and going out. For SBICARD, the gap between those two has become a giant canyon.
And just look at this table. This shows you that this isn't some one-time fluke, it's a pattern. For 3 years in a row, while their reported profit kept on climbing, their actual cash from operations has been plunging deeper and deeper into the red. That cash conversion ratio tells you everything you need to know. In the last year, for every 100 rupees of profit they claimed, they actually burned through 235 rupees of cash. It's just wild.
The report we're looking at puts it in a way that's impossible to ignore. Imagine your payslip says you made 100 rupees, but when you look at your bank account, you've actually spent 235 rupees just to keep the lights on that month. How long could you keep that up? It's totally unsustainable. So the big question is, where is all this cash going?
All right, to figure this out, we need to put on our detective hats. We're going to follow 3 major clues buried in the company's financials. And these clues, they're going to explain exactly where all that cash is disappearing to.
So, clue number 1. It has to do with something called receivables. Now, for a credit card company, that's just a fancy word for the money their customers owe them on their card balances. And we measure how good they are at collecting this money with a metric called Days Sales Outstanding, or DSO. Simply put, it's how many days it takes them to get paid.
And check out this timeline. Just a couple of years ago, it took them about 55 days to get their money. Then it started creeping up to 57 days, but last year it shot up to 63 days. Now, an extra week might not sound like a lot, but when you're dealing with a company this size, that delay traps billions of rupees that should be in their bank account. It means customers are taking longer and longer to pay their bills.
And this is where it gets really interesting. You read the company's official reports, and management is talking about their strong receivables management. But then you look at the actual numbers, and they tell a totally different story. Their bad loans are going up, and the time it takes to collect money is getting longer. The words and the data are on 2 different planets.
Okay, so if you're not getting cash from your customers on time, how do you pay your own bills? Well, that brings us to clue number 2. You borrow money. Lots of it. And to see how much a company is leaning on debt, we look at the debt-to-equity ratio. It just tells us how much borrowed money they're using compared to their own. And folks, this right here is a massive red flag. In just 1 year, SBICARD's debt exploded by 37%. Now, remember their profit growth? A measly 7%? Their debt is growing more than 5 times faster than their profits. That is a textbook sign of a company that's getting stuck in a debt trap, borrowing more and more just to stay afloat.
So where's all this borrowed money coming from? This chart says it all. A staggering 75% of their funding comes from one place, their parent company, State Bank of India. This isn't just a business relationship, it's a financial lifeline. Relying so heavily on a single source for cash is a huge risk.
Now, here's the crucial part. These clues we found, the slow collections, the skyrocketing debt, they aren't separate issues. No, they're all tangled together, feeding off each other in a dangerous cycle that is sucking the cash right out of the company.
Let me walk you through it. Step 1. The company pushes for aggressive growth, which means more customers and more money that's owed to them. Step 2. But those customers are taking longer to pay, which drains the company's cash. Step 3. To plug that massive hole, the company has to borrow tons of money. And finally, Step 4. All that new debt comes with hefty interest payments, which eats away at their future profits and, well, you guessed it, forces them to borrow even more. The cycle just gets worse and worse.
So, after following all these clues, after connecting all the dots, what's our final verdict? What does this all really mean for SBICARD's future, and for anyone watching this company?
Let's just quickly sum up the red flags we found. First, the negative cash flow. That's not just a problem, it's a critical issue. Then you've got the rapidly rising debt, which is a major alert. And finally, the fact that people are paying later and bad loans are increasing. That's a serious cause for caution.
So what we're left with are two completely different stories. You have the official story the company tells, a story of fantastic growth and being a market leader, but then you have the story the numbers tell, and that's a story of deep, fundamental problems and rapidly growing risk.
So, if you're keeping an eye on this company, what should you actually be looking for? Here's your cheat sheet. Number 1, and this is the big one, operating cash flow has to turn positive. Period. It's non-negotiable. Number 2, watch that DSO. It needs to drop back below 60 days. Third, their debt to equity has got to come down. And finally, those bad loans need to stop climbing.
And that leaves us with one final big question. Is what we're seeing just a company pushing for growth at any cost, something they can eventually fix? Or are we looking at a ticking time bomb, where all these pressures could eventually lead to a major crisis? The numbers have shown us the risk. What happens next is anyone's guess.